Yikes. 5 on the floor, ride for my dogs. Where here's the thing, you can check the score. Hustle hard, couple scars, wearing rubber frauds. Down the Biscayne. Kept the flow playing, got it all band. Y'all seen the block, stop with one hand. And Pat we trust, Inspire have the guts. We're here to bring the heat, y'all can hang it up.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Great start. We're not yet in postseason form as we come back from the All-Star break. Miami Heat beat the Toronto Raptors 120-111. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick on 5 Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. I got Brady Hawk. You can follow him at Brady Hawk 305. Get Alex Toledo. You can follow him at Tropical Blanket. I feel like a lot of you forgot about us based on the downloads of all the episodes that we put out during the All-Star break. So we're glad that you're back. We are live tonight if you're listening to this on the podcast feeds. We do want to mention signing up for Off the Floor. That's our Discord server, $2.99 per month. Link will be right here in the description. You bypass the Apple upcharge and you get access to 10 different channels and to our stage shows. This game tonight went overtime. Little dicey there. Another game where the Miami Heat took a lead in the third quarter, looked comfortable, got away from them, fell behind. Then they end up taking a lead at the end of the game. They end up in an overtime situation because after Tyler Herro makes a great pass to Bam in the corner, Bam for some reason does not shoot the three, ends up missing at the buzzer. Then the Heat take over in overtime and win 120-111. And there's a lot of themes to come out of this game. I think there's a lot of rotation decisions that were interesting because when Erik Spoelstra makes rotation decisions coming out of the All-Star break, he's had time to think on it. They've had time to study it. They've looked at who's helping and who's not. And I thought the minute distribution tonight was interesting. So before we even get to the player of the game, and this is a tough call tonight, actually, I'll let Brady choose it. But before we even get to that, minute distribution tonight. Tyler Herro, 39. Oh, excuse me. Let me start with the guy who led. I kind of called this one. Andrew WIggins, 42. Tyler Herro, 39. Bam Adebayo, 37. Niko Jovic, 34 off the bench. Davion Mitchell, 33. Kel'el Ware, 21. Duncan Robinson, 23. Terry Rozier, 16. A little more manageable. Kyle Anderson, 11. I thought those were good minutes, by the way. Alec Burks, 6. Jaime Jaquez, 0. Haywood Highsmith, 0. Pelle Larsson, 0. Kevin Love, 0. Before we get to the player of the game, Greg, your thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting that Jaquez had a pretty productive All-Star weekend, and he was out and about and played in that game, and then he comes back basically out of the rotation. I did not expect that. Highsmith has been in and out of the rotation recently, so that wasn't as surprising. I thought Jaquez would be a part of what would become a regular rotation. He was not. That's interesting to monitor. I mean, he's a young player. Ultimately, they have decisions to make about Nico sooner than they do Jaquez. So Nico is further along in his development. You're seeing it with the minutes. And I also think that Spo is he definitely is leaning into Davion Mitchell a lot. But yeah, Jaquez being out of the rotation, I don't know that that's game to game. I think that he may settle into something similar to what we saw tonight, but it'll be interesting to monitor because considering where we thought he was trending last year, and then like basically he was Jimmy Butler light to some degree is what people were saying the way that he played. Jimmy is now gone. He is on the roster. You would think he could slide into that role. And he has not, lived up to that. So it's been a tough season for Jaquez, and the All-Star break coming back to it, being out of the rotation does not make it any easier. We'll see where it goes.
Let's get to the player of the game. I'm curious what direction Brady's going to go here.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
What do you think?
I don't know if this is voters fatigue, but I do kind of lean Andrew WIggins just because of the fact that, you're seeing a performance like this, seeing him able to put up 25, the guy that you pretty much traded your best player for. I mean, this is a good sight to see, but I thought just the style he played in, I thought he just played a little bit more comfortable in this game. We kind of talked about it over the break. My kind of big thing about WIggins was that I just don't think he's a specific role type of guy. Like, I think he has to be somewhere where he plays in every spot. He has to play on the break. He has to play off the catch at some moments of the game. He has to play off curls at different moments, and then he has to get mid-post touches in other spots. That's what they did. They ran him all over the chessboard, and they were just kind of letting him kind of pick his spots at different moments. I thought the mid-post stuff was actually some of his best work. Like, I'm a fan of when they kind of get to those type of looks in general. Like, we're going to talk later, obviously, about the Kyle Anderson minutes, but they basically inserted him and just let him run in the mid post, and good things came out of it. I think when they get away from the perimeter game specifically, good things happen, and Andrew WIggins was a big part of that. I thought just the activity on the glass, like even the Bam potential, game winner, it was a potential WIggins tip-in. He's just active in general. He had a move in the fourth quarter when they were down 1. They came out of a timeout. What's the play they drew up? They drew up WIggins at a mid-post catch. He had a really nice inside drop step and laid it in to take a 1-point lead back. The confidence to come out of a timeout and a down 1 and not go to Tyler or Bam there and say, we're running this play for Andrew WIggins, I think that matters too. And he was really good defensively. I mean, he was all over the place. I've kind of talked about we talked about like his strengths compared to Jimmy in the past. And I think, I was mentioning he's not as much of a guy that's going to size up all the time. Well, you're forced to size up all the time against this Raptors team because pretty much all over the board are offensive players that are just bigger than you. And he did a good job contesting, containing. I just thought he played a really good overall game tonight. And this is kind of what you need from him. He's not going to be something that you just are going to see one specific thing he's going to be great at. He has to be good at every facet because that's his game. He's just a guy that's going to kind of do it all offensively and, put it out there defensively. And like you said, the 42 minutes, I mean, comparing that to the guy that they traded out, I mean, having a guy come in and play for that long, play that hard, and do all that stuff, I think that matters. And like you said, Spo's going to lean on it.
One of the things that impressed me the most, you talk about all the offensive stuff, and we could talk about WIggins in defending the house too tonight. I love the way he guarded in the post tonight. I thought the activity around the rim, he plays bigger than he is actually in those situations, just in terms because he's kind of slightly built, compared to others down there. And I thought he was really good in that situation. And we talked about all the different ways that they can use him. I still don't think leaning on him as a one-on-one guy all the time is where you go. But I think if he can find his spots with this group, that's the key thing, is playing off of. Ultimately, their offense is going to be dictated, I think, by how he and Tyler work off each other. I'm curious to see where that goes. And because that the minutes are going to be there at the beginning of the game, at the end of the game, because they're going to be 2 of the 3 biggest minute getters on this particular team. He's not the player of the game, but I do want to mention Bam tonight before we get to the play of the night, which, we'll there's a few options for that one. I think Tyler is going to feature into a couple of them. But Alex, when I looked at Bam's game tonight, the 12 rebounds, he did have a little foul trouble, the four fouls, the 19 points. When he started making the bunnies, they started getting him the ball in those spaces. I wish he'd taken the 3 at the end of the game. I'm always one of those is like, don't take too many threes. Tyler made a great read to get him the ball in the corner. He didn't take it, stepped into it. But again, the touch seems to be coming back to him a little bit. There was one circumstance I think it was in the first half where he kind of stepped into it. I mean, he had to do some work to get to a free throw jumper, but he was very definitive about doing it. I thought it's a good carryover game from what we saw prior to the All-Star break.
No doubt. And I think in a, kind of similar ways to what we were talking about with WIggins, and of course in a different fashion, I just think he played a very balanced, well-rounded game. You know, he wasn't trying to force the issue. You saw a little bit of everything that Bam offers you, where, you get a little bit of the mid-range, you get the touch shots, obviously you get the screening, the playmaking, the defense. And I just thought he put together a very nice, very polished, well-rounded game. And you're 100% right. Like the twos, that's been what has made him look so much better as of late. It was a trend heading into the All-Star break. And like you said, he kind of picked up right where he left off. I think he went 8 of 12 on his twos tonight, and that was just a big reason why the Heat were able to win this game. Like, just looking at some of the stats there, the Heat converted on 61% of their twos, whereas the Raptors converted on 44%. Like, that's a ginormous difference, especially when you factor in that the Raptors had the better three-point shooting night, made 4 more threes than you. Like, that's going to be one of the biggest just battlegrounds for the Heat moving forward, because I don't really trust them as a team to be like an above average 3-point shooting team on a night-to-night basis. They've got their obvious above average shooters in Tyler and Duncan, but as a team, it's a lot to ask for for them to be a team that launches up a whole lot. And I think what's looked better for them overall as a collective is how much they've been attacking the paint. You guys mentioned it with Wiggins there. I think they got did a good job of getting him, to go downhill a little bit and to get some easier ones in the mid post. And with Bam, there's similar things going on where it's like you want to get him in the different spots so that he can, kind of be optimized. And I think there's similar things there where it's like you don't want them dribbling too much. You want to put them in their spot first sometimes, and they play well off of other perimeter players. Like, obviously they're different players, but there's some similar things here where like you got to find the balance there. And I thought, both of those guys were huge reasons as to why they won. And not only just for what they do on the defensive end, but on the offensive end.
Let's get to the play of the night.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you. If you work in a hospital or a medical office, get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-Ray of the Play of the Day.
I mean, it has to be the chase down block, right? It has to be. No, I mean, there are other options tonight, but I mean, Tyler, first he got hurt, right? It appeared he hurt the elbow or something along those lines. I'm sorry. The rarity of a Tyler Herro chase down block, that's where I'm going tonight. But I'm sure I'm missing something that was more dramatic in them actually winning the game, because by then they had it under control. So Brady, you want to give me one that was more definitive in terms of them pulling away here?
I'll just go with a string of plays, and it's this random Kyle Anderson, Duncan Robinson connection that emerged tonight. I mean, what is up with that two-man game? I don't think that was one that we expected. But legitimately, like, they had 4 times of connections where he had an opportunity in that mid post where Duncan just somehow got open on a back cut, and some really nice finishes too. Like, those were not some easy finishes on, open layups. Like, he was finding ways to convert. But that, like, legitimately totally settled the game down. Like, they went to a certain rotation, as you guys mentioned to start the show. Kyle Anderson comes in out of nowhere midway through the third quarter for his first minutes of the game. Like, it was like a really interesting type of, substitution move. But I think it was just to slow down, legitimately slow down the game, but also just kind of put them in a position in the offense where they had a valve to get to and a quick trigger, because Bam was out of the game with a little bit of foul trouble. They needed a trigger in the mid post. They went to Kyle Anderson. He just kept finding Duncan there. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I know you guys sit on the rotation part of this, but I do think there's 7 guys where it's the starting lineup tonight, and then it's Duncan and Jovic, who are kind of the for sure guys that are going to be locked in the rotation. And then it's the others. Then it's about who else is going to fit into the rotation on a certain night. I know Terry has been a part of the main group, but I think we're trending in a certain direction here where you see Jaime not in the rotation. You see Terry going from 30 minutes to 16 minutes. They're trending in a direction here where I think they have their 7 guys, and then it's Jaime, Haywood, Terry, Kyle Anderson, Alec Burks, whoever has it on a certain night, whatever matchup may show, we're going to go to that guy. So I think that is important. That was an important trend coming out of the All-Star break, because the top 7 have played well. It's just going to come down to who's kind of the final 2 in the rotation.
I think the most promising thing tonight, just overall, and kind of what we'll remember about this game if we remember anything, and they still have 2 more on this road trip, is that the 3 new guys all made major contributions.
Yeah.
And Mitchell. Look, there are limitations there, but I said before the last 4 minutes, I'm like, I want to see how he fits with this group down the stretch of a game, and he doesn't really make a ton of mistakes. He doesn't make the fancy play necessarily on the offensive end, but the defense is so solid, and it's pretty obvious. Like these were, and we talked about it at the time of the trade. These are 3 players that Erik Spoelstra is going to want to play.
Yeah.
It
The
feels
coaching
Greg,
staff loves Davion Mitchell. There's no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, like, absolutely, and up and down the coaching staff, and this is, we talk about getting value for Jimmy. It was going to be very difficult, obviously, under the circumstances. We can talk about when they could have gotten more, all the rest of this first round pick and what that means. Alex is finally in the light, but with no helicopters tonight. But to get 3 guys, like they made a concerted effort, I think. I know, actually. To kind of please Erik Spoelstra after what he's dealt with all year. Like they got him 3 guys who are very easy personalities to fit in. There's no complications with any of this stuff. And all 3 of them defend. And all 3 of them don't get out of pocket. And that's where I go with the Rozier stuff, because really the play of the night should be Terry Rozier going 1-on-3. So, Alex, do you want to break that one down for me?
Because, come on.
Terry was just
throwing you a bomb.
Terry was just -2 tonight, but what the heck was that? What was that?
You hitting me with this question is like all the times Terry like did nothing with the ball. It's like you talked about him and then you replicated, the things he's done wrong. Why would you give me this question an hour and a half before my birthday, man? Like, this is not cool.
It's an hour and a half before his birthday. Look at that. We got to do an episode with you on your 5 favorite fan moments, because we just did one with Greg that everybody should listen. By the way, we have 3 February birthdays here, right? So what? And Brady, when is yours again?
June. So I mean, I could claim February. I mean, we could just lie.
I mean, if they're still playing in June, we'll celebrate it.
Yeah,
doubt it.
No.
But we'll celebrate.
We could do like my 5 favorite summer league trends here.
Right, or 5 favorite draft pick options in the lottery.
No, we're all going to be draft experts in a couple
2 lottery picks.
Happy 40th.
Oh,
no,
that's insane, Eddie.
No, that ain't right. By the way, if you're listening to the podcast feed, we apologize. We're responding to questions here on the YouTube channel. But again, that 1-on-3, it was a thing of beauty. It really encapsulated everything we've seen this season. I'm fascinated by his decision not to play Hawkins tonight. I really am. Like the Highsmith thing, it just seems like he can't. Haywood is just yo-yoed. But to say your first round pick from last year, who has not played well this year, we all agree about that. He has not taken a step forward. To make that decision to play 10, but to not play Hawkins when he was apparently healthy, is a big deal. All right, before we close tonight, let's go to defending the house.
And now it's time for our Defending the House segment, sponsored by our friends over at The Real Estate Shop. You can find them at realestateshopfl.com. That's with 2 P's and an E, realestateshopfl.com, or at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram. This is Javier Iglesias and Amanda Martin. They help buyers and sellers in real estate. They're nimble and protective of their clients. They service the entire Tri-County area. That's Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties with a proven on-market strategy. The Real Estate Shop sellers earn the most money in the shortest time frame because Amanda and Javier have a deep understanding of the local market. So check them out. Again, it's at the Fort Lauderdale Realtor on Instagram, realestateshopfl.com, or give them a call at 954-268-9812. And now, who defended the house?
Well, we talked about Wiggins. We've talked about Mitchell. I mean, look, they gave up a decent number of points tonight. Like this was not a dominant defensive performance. Grady Dick had a stretch there. It looked like he was going to carry them in this game. I guess overall, though, I don't know who wants to take this one. Brady, you want to take this one? Were you comfortable kind of with the approach defensively tonight against a team that has some offensive skill, but is a little clunky at times with the way that they do things?
Yeah, I don't want to let like an overtime win against the Raptors mask some of the stuff we would be talking if they like crumbled in overtime. So like they're an inconsistent basketball team. Like there's stretches of good offense, there's stretches of bad offense, but I thought there was mostly good defense in this game. I just thought there was a bad third quarter, but sometimes that quarter ends up selling the entire game, and that's what's led to many of their losses pre All-Star break. So there's been good things. Like I think overall, I think Kalel has kind of had, an interesting stretch right now. I'm interested to see how he finishes the season. Like this was a game where they kind of went away from him. He just kind of didn't have it. He started out the game that he was like kind of getting a bunch of rebounds and stuff, but defensively it just didn't seem like a good matchup. It just felt better when actually they went smaller against Toronto. That was kind of their better matchups. But when they go smaller right now, they actually have more defensive pieces to get to right now. So it's like a little bit of a difference that we're used to with this specific roster. But I thought they were good most of the time. I thought they forced turnovers in the first half. Third quarter, I think they gave like 32 or 33 in that quarter. They were not forcing turnovers. When this team does not force turnovers and they don't play on the break, they're not going to have a successful stretch. I think that's been pretty clear. When they can kind of find a stretch where Davion's on the floor or Jovic is on the floor and they can get out and run, that's just kind of the difference maker. And I see I'm getting asked to address my my culture.
Because I got one more thing to get to, but you have to address this. Yes, you do. Because obviously this thing was rigged. There's no question.
Yeah, I lost my joy. I think I'm going to pull out of the race next year after losing my joy this year. That's my full statement.
Wait, that demands a follow up though. Will you be able to find your joy here?
I don't believe so.
Oh.
You need influencers is what you have. I mean, I'm certainly not enough. I mean, you need to find.
I mean, you could have thrown something on MySpace.
I have a hot take. I think that the cup should only include people that are presenting themselves as themselves.
Oh.
Like if you're like a account like that is like a fan account hiding behind an Avi, I don't think you should qualify.
I agree with you. I know why you're saying that. I'm with you on that. I got thrown under the bus because they used my personal account, which I don't think I've actually logged on to that in 4 years, instead of the 5 Reasons account, which I think I would have had a better shot. But I still lost to Will Manso, and now I owe him dinner. So we'll deal with that. But we only go to dinner in the playoffs, and I don't know if we're getting there. Trade Brady while his value is high. We could
get some extra second round picks.
Right. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not going to trade you for Heat versus haters. All right. I do want to before we comment here, before we go out of here, and obviously we're off the rails. We're back from All-Star to Friday night. We have to mention Tyler Herro scored 28 points and was very efficient doing so. Right. Like we were 23 minutes into this.
He was hooping and Eternal was hurting.
He was. Our guy Eternal Bast cannot give Tyler credit under any circumstances, and he took that one shot at the end where Eternal was just like, no, and all the rest. Oh, that's a terrible shot. He made it. Then he missed another one. But in a serious vein here, though, the way that Tyler has learned to play off of screens now and when to reject them, when to use them, that's major progress. Like you're watching him navigate this stuff at the end of games. I know there are some turnovers, but you're seeing more growth. That's been a big step for him this year. And he played a very, very solid game, and this is what they need from him. But they need to get Bam and Wiggins to give them offense during stretches of the game to help him, and they got that tonight, and Mitchell was great as well. Again, not a great win. They had to go to overtime against a so-so Toronto team, but better than it would have been considering what we were looking at coming into the All-Star break. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate Brady, Greg, Alex. Happy birthday, Alex. We're going to let you go here. More episodes over the weekend. We got a Sunday night game, right? The Sunday night in Milwaukee. So that's kind of an interesting one. Then
what are we going to do, like a birthday bash with the fans and celebrate all 3 of our birthdays and do like a sponsored event? I think there's something there.
Yeah. 2026.
Yeah, we'll plan it.
2026 plan, as they say.
You got to give us more notice than when 2 of our birthdays are already over with, Alex. That's it. We'll just helicopter there. Anyway, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.